Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Just give me 1 second, okay? Some technical issues are there. I'm fixing it. All right. So I hope I'm audible. And welcome once again to today's UPSC CSC Medieval India Lecture 9. So we are continuing with the history of Medieval India Satish Chandra Sir's textbook. We have completed 8 lectures and so far have finished up to Vijayanagara, Bahmani and the arrival of Portuguese. So today we are actually going to see what happened after the Delhi Sultanate collapsed and before the beginning of Mughals. So a lot of things happened in India before one major dynasty disappeared and another one started. Okay, so that gap is the period which we are going to see today. So in South India, we know what was going on. Vijayanagara Empire, Bahmani Kingdom, we have Warangal, etc., etc. So at the same time, what was going on in the north? Okay, so that is the vacuum that we are going to fill today. So welcome to Madhav Sankar classes. I am Madhav Sankar Warrier. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, please do so so that you can get updated whenever I schedule a new session. Okay, so struggle for the empire in North India 1. So we are going to look at a period between 1400 and 1526. Okay, so in 1526 we have the battle, the Panipat between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi, and the Mughal dynasty come into existence. So if until the previous year, what all things are happening. So basically, the growing weakness of Delhi Sultanate was very visible after the attack of Timur, and we have already seen this. Okay, the Timur invasion in Delhi basically destroyed Delhi. The prestige of Delhi was completely gone, and it was powerless, completely a powerless body, just now in a nominal name. Okay, so after 1398, we do not have any major dynasties in India which have that kind of power all over the North Indian territories. So naturally, when the center became weak, plenty of local, provincial governors, etc. One second, there is still some issues. Let me just. Are you able to see the updated slides? I hope it is visible now. One second, guys. It's not becoming full screen for some reason. Let me just fix that. Okay, fine. So yeah, naturally, once the center became a bit weak, the provincial powers started to play their role. They started to become autonomous. They started to assert their independence. Especially this was led by the factions of nobles. Okay, the nobles always wanted power, even under the king. So whenever they got an opportunity to exert that kind of power or capture that kind of power, they made sure that they made the most of it. All right, so lots of independent kingdoms, or at least partially autonomous kingdoms, started to come all over North India. So gradually there was out of these newly sprang kingdoms, some of them gained prominence while some of them disappeared. Okay, so very gradually, after a long period of time, some of these kingdoms started to become very much powerful. Okay, they started to assert their power and try to conquer each other. Very began to become a major force to be reckoned with. Still, they are not powerful enough to form a new dynasty. Okay, not powerful enough to take control over the entire North India, but still they were gaining that sort of power. So naturally, there existed some kind of power balance between some of these top powers that existed in North India. Same happened in South India. In South India, we have Vijayanagara Empire and Bahmani Kingdom. If one of them was absent, probably the other one could have dominated the entire South India. But because Vijayanagara and Bahmani were more or less equal powers, this balance prevented each other from gaining that kind of dominance. Same thing happened in North India also. Okay, so this situation continued for a very long time until the absorption of Jaunpur by the Lodhis towards the end of 15th century. Okay, so the Lodhis captured Jaunpur or annexed Jaunpur in 15th century, and this actually completely changed the power balance in North India. The most important territory in North India at this time was Malwa. Okay, I mean Malwa is not exactly North India, but the Malwa region is very important as far as North Indian politics is concerned. And whoever controlled Malwa will probably have the final say in North India. This was the condition. Okay, I mean the circumstances evolved into such a fashion. So every major power in North India was now trying to capture Malwa. Clear? And this rivalry made these kings do various things. And one of these kings, named as Rana Sanga, he actually invited Babur into India, probably to take his side and dominate over others. This is how Mughals come to India. Okay, so in order to have that upper hand in the North Indian politics, Rana Sanga asked for the help from the Afghan ruler Babur, and Babur came to help. I mean, at least that was the pretext. Okay, anyway, he came to India. He did help Rana Sanga in the battle and all, but instead of going back to his kingdom, Babur decided to stay in India. And this marks the beginning of Mughal dynasty. This is why Mughals came to India. So let's see what were the major struggles that was going on around this time. First of all, we start with Eastern India, that is the three important areas of Bengal, Assam and Orissa. So to the newcomers in my channel, please, if you have any queries, feel free to put it in the YouTube live chat session. If I know the answer, I will immediately get back to you. Otherwise, in the next class, I will give you the answer. Okay, I will be checking the chat once in 2 slides or something like that. Okay, I won't be looking at it all the time, but I will be checking it. So, good evening Satya, welcome. Good evening Tamil Selvan. So let's start with Bengal. Okay, we have already learned a lot about Bengal. We looked into certain important kings in the previous class itself. So anyway, Bengal, as we know, is a territory that has been often, in and out from Delhi Sultanate. Whenever Bengal got an opportunity to move out of Delhi Sultanate and claim its independence, it did. It did so. But immediately some of the Delhi Sultanate ruler will come back and annex it back. Then again, once the center is weak, again Bengal will try to assert its independence and so on. So this was the history of Bengal throughout the Delhi Sultanate. One of the main reasons for this happening was that Bengal was very far away from Delhi. That is number one. So the communication had to happen a long distance. Also, communication depended on waterways. Okay, Bengal, there are plenty of rivers to cross before you reach Bengal, and Bengal also has lots of delta areas and all. So in order to have an established line of communication, you need to have mastery over waterways. And Turkish rulers were not exactly well trained in this section. I mean, they used to conduct wars in deserts and plains and all. They are not accustomed with waterway kind of communication. Okay, so all these are the factors which made Bengal very much important and very much autonomous among the northern states. But one of the main kings of Bengal during this time was Ilyas Khan, another name that we have already seen in the previous sessions. Ilyas Khan. Ilyas Khan captured 2 of the important areas there, that is Lucknowdi and Sonargaon, and he ascended the throne under the name Sultan Shamsuddin Ilyas Khan. Okay, this was the royal title, Sultan Shamsuddin Ilyas Khan. So he is one prominent king, and during the time of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, while Firoz Shah was the Sultan of Delhi, he arranged a campaign against Ilyas Khan. Okay, so he wanted to annex Bengal back to the Sultanate territory. Why? Because Bengal is an extremely fertile area, plenty of rivers, very good for various kinds of agriculture. Okay, a very important area as far as revenue is concerned. So Firoz Shah did not want to leave Bengal for it, and he wanted to annex it back. So he sent a campaign into Bengal. This campaign, led by the powerful emperor, forced Ilyas to seek shelter in the strong fort of Egdala. Okay, Egdala was one of the mightiest forts in Bengal. So Ilyas Khan couldn't do anything but to, you know, seek refuge in this fort. This fort is almost impenetrable. So Firoz Shah had to besiege this fort for a very long time. Okay, so about I think a couple of months, Firoz Shah besieged this fort, and using some techniques, Firoz Shah finally managed to lure Ilyas Khan out from the fort, and a battle happened. But even in that battle, although Firoz had the upper hand, still Ilyas managed to escape back inside the fort. Okay, again, Ilyas Khan went back into the fort, and Firoz Shah couldn't do anything. So again, after a lot of time, uh, since nothing was moving forward, a treaty of friendship was signed between these two kings. Okay, the mighty emperor of Delhi Sultanate finally, had to give up into a friendship treaty rather than trying to capture the king and make him subordinated. But anyway, according to this treaty of friendship, river Koshi in Bihar was fixed as the boundary between two kingdoms. The Kosi river in Bihar became the boundary. Up to Kosi in Bihar, it was the Delhi Sultanate. Beyond Kosi was the kingdom of Bengal. This was the final settlement that was made. And they try to continue that kind of relationship throughout their lifetime. But you have to understand that this friendship treaty does not mean Ilyas Khan is subordinated to Firoz Shah. Ilyas Khan was very much still an independent ruler. But anyway, friendly relationship with Delhi continued for a very long time, and this friendship allowed Ilyas Khan to expand to other areas. Okay, since the northern politics is settled, now Bengal decided to move to other regions, especially towards east. Okay, so in the east, we have certain other important kingdoms such as Kamrup, which is modern day Assam. We have the Ahom kings who also ruled this, eastern region, etc., etc. So these were the mightier powers towards the east. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq invaded Bengal a second time, again, when Ilyas Khan's son came to the throne. I mean, Ilyas Khan died after some time, and his son came to the throne. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq now do not have to honor that friendship treaty, so he again came back and tried to invade it. But same thing happened. Okay, Firoz Shah couldn't annex it. Again, his son also used the maximum of that fort to his own advantage, and Firoz Shah has nothing to do but to go back. Okay, since this event happened, since this incident occurred, for another 200 years, Bengal was left alone by the Sultanate. I mean, you know that Firoz Shah Tughlaq is the probably the last most powerful king up to the Tughlaq dynasty. Okay, after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, we have an assembly of weak rulers. Then we have a change in dynasty. The Sayyids come to power, and then the Lodhis come to power. But anyway, for all practical purposes, the might of Delhi Sultanate was crushed after Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So for the next 200 years, Bengal was more or less left on its own. It was afterwards when Sher Shah Suri, you know about Sher Shah Suri, right? We have not studied about him yet. We will be looking into his rule very soon. So it was Sher Shah Suri in 1538 who finally overran Bengal and captured power. Okay, we will study about Sher Shah Suri during the time of Humayun and all. Okay, at that time we will look into his administration in depth. But anyway, the most famous sultan in this dynasty was Ghiyasuddin Azam Shah. Okay, I mean dynasty of Ilyas Khan was Ghiyasuddin Azam Shah, and he was a very able ruler. He was very known for his love of justice. Okay, he had very close relationship with very famous, learned people and saints, etc., etc., poets, so and so. He re-established friendly relationship with the Chinese. China was very important for Bengal. Why? Because it is very close to conduct maritime trade. You can't conduct overland trade because Himalayas are blocking it. So as far as Bengal's port is concerned, it had very good connections with China. Clear? So its maritime trade flourished with Chinese. So the Chinese emperor received a delegation from Bengal, and in return, he sent an envoy to the Bengal court as well. And upon the request of the Chinese ruler, Azam Shah actually sent Buddhist monks to China to spread Buddhism there. Okay, so from this fact, we know that Buddhism was still very much there in India, at least in the Bengal region. Okay, that was the last area of hold as far as Buddhism in India is concerned. Since the time of Pala rulers, Buddhism is more or less confined into this region. Okay, so anyway, Bengal managed to establish very good connection with Chinese. So the sultans of Bengal, they were very good builders also. They managed to adorn their capitals, Pandua and Gaur, with magnificent buildings. Okay, the capital of Bengal at that time was Pandua and Gaur. Two capitals were there. Okay, I mean their style was not exactly the style that was used by Delhi Sultanate. This was more or less, some local factors were also very much visible in the Bengal architecture. The materials used were prominently, of both types, stone as well as brick. Anyway, they were all, the sultans of Bengal were, very good as far as buildings were concerned, architecture is concerned. They also patronized the Bengali language. The celebrated poet Maladhar Basu. Okay, I think you would have heard about this personality, Maladhar Basu. He is the composer of Sri Krishna Vijaya, very important for prelims. Alright, this personality lived around this time and he was granted the title Gunaraja Khan for his contributions in the Bengali literature. His son was honored with the title Satyaraja Khan. So both are important. Maladhar Basu is Gunaraja Khan and Maladhar Basu's son was given the title Satyaraja Khan. So basically Bengali rulers were very much patrons of art, architecture, literature, etc., etc. Okay, but the most significant period for the Bengali literature or the language of Bengal was under the rulership of Alauddin Hussain. This personality, this ruler, was the one who gave the maximum or who made the most, contributed the most for the development of Bengali language. He was also a very able and efficient ruler as far as his administration is concerned. Sultan restored law and order. He adopted a very liberal policy by offering very high posts to Hindus and all. Okay, for example, the two famous brothers of Vaishnava, such as Rupa and Sanatan, both of them held very high posts in Sultan's administration. He was also very much, respectful towards the famous Vaishnavite saint Chaitanya. Okay, I hope you know, at least have heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very prominent personality as far as the Vaishnava cult in Bengal is concerned. Okay, and then we will also come to know about Shankaradeva. All these are important personalities of Vaishnava movement in Bengal. But anyway, Alauddin Hussain was very much tolerant towards all these religions, and he was very much, respectful towards the Vaishnava movement of Chaitanya. So, since the time of Muhammad bin Bakhtiyar Khalji, Muslim rulers of Bengal tried to bring their or extend their control around the Brahmaputra Valley region. I hope you remember this personality, Muhammad bin Bakhtiyar Khalji. Along with Qutbuddin Aibak, who started the Delhi Sultanate, Muhammad bin Bakhtiyar Khalji was another personality who took care of eastern Indian side. Okay, Qutbuddin Aibak was ruling North India with its base in Delhi. Bakhtiyar Khalji at the same time simultaneously tried to take power of eastern India, Orissa, Bengal, Bihar, that region. So since his time, all the sultans of Delhi, or at least all the Muslim rulers of Bengal, wanted to extend their power into the Brahmaputra Valley, okay, because of its natural resources and strategic advantages, etc., etc. At this time, as I have mentioned earlier, there were two very prominent kingdoms which were preventing this from happening. Number one is the Kamatha. Okay, modern day writers call it as the Kamru. The other one being the Ahom kingdom. Okay, Kamatha was towards the west of Bengal region kingdom, and Ahom kingdom was towards the east of it. So these two were the main warring kingdoms which were preventing or which were creating headaches for the sultans of Bengal. So basically, who are these Ahoms? Ahoms are a Mongoloid tribe. Okay, they were actually Mongoloid tribe from the Burmese region, and eventually once they settled in the Brahmaputra Valley region, or say towards the Assam region, they eventually started to Hindουize and became a Hindu kingdom eventually. Okay, but originally they were Mongoloids. So these two were the prominent kingdoms at that time. in the east. Ilyas Shah invaded Kamta. Okay, and according to historians, he penetrated up to Guwahati. Okay, up to the Guwahati region, modern day Guwahati region, Ilyas Khan managed to penetrate. Problem was that he cannot, or he failed to hold on to this area. I mean, he made such great leaps into the kingdom, but he was not able to hold on to this rich territory he managed to claim. Okay, so finally, the river Karatoya was accepted as the northeastern boundary of Bengal. So this is how the affairs between Kamrup and Bengal is settled. Clear? Although he managed to, make huge advances into the kingdom, since he failed to keep it, he had to finally settle for river Karatoya as the boundary between Bengal and Kamrup. As far as Ahoms were concerned, again plenty of battles were conducted. Problem was that by doing this, by conducting wars between Kamrup and Ahoms, Bengal put itself in a very dangerous situation. Okay, both Ahoms and Kamrup were pretty powerful kingdoms. They knew what they were doing, and Bengal now had to fight on two fronts. I mean, they were fighting Ahoms on this side and Kamrups on the other side. This is never good. Okay, I mean, whenever we hear about these kinds of battles, multiple battles happening in two fronts against the same country, this country is always in disadvantage. And Bengal invited this drawback to itself by choosing to pick a battle with these countries. But anyway, an attack by Alauddin Hussain Shah, which was supported by Ahoms, led to the destruction of the city of Kamtarpur. Okay, so by alienating both the neighbors, they sealed their doom. But an attack by Alauddin Hussain Shah, which was supported by Ahoms, eventually he managed to side with one of the factions and destroyed the other one. Okay, I mean, these portions are just understand the story and move on. You need not study in depth or say word by word for UPSC. Just understand the Eastern Indian politics. Moving on. The Eastern Brahmaputra Valley was at this time under the control of another king named as Suhungmung. This is important for prelims. Okay, why? Because Suhungmung is the same king who later took the name Swarga Narayana. Okay, Suhungmung, who eventually gave a name to himself, Swarga Narayana, is considered as the greatest king of Ahoms. Clear? And the Vaishnava reformer Shankaradeva is said to have been a contemporary of Swarga Narayana. Shankaradeva is very important for his contributions to Satriya, etc., etc. And Swarga Narayana was a contemporary of Shankaradeva. Clear? So anyway, the Sultans of Bengal also tried to bring certain other parts of Eastern India towards their control. For example, the Chittagong tract, parts of Arakan, etc., etc. And plenty of wars were fought for all these things. At the same time, the rulers of Bengal also contended for Orissa. Orissa was another prominent region. They wanted to take control of that too. Problem was, it was ruled by Ganga dynasty. Ganga dynasty was a very powerful kingdom to deal with. Okay, if you remember, they were the people who built the very famous temples of Puri, Konark, etc. Okay, so very mighty rulers. Finally, in 1338, ruler of Bengal, Ilyas Khan, one second. Give me a second, guys. Okay. Sorry for that. So continuing. So anyway, the Sultans of Bengal, they tried to annex or try to conquer Orissa, where the Ganga dynasty was ruling. very famous for building the Sun Temple, Puri Temple, etc. etc. Anyway, in 1338, the ruler of Bengal, Ilyas Shah, raided Jajnagar. Okay, Jajnagar is the old name for Orissa. So anyway, they conducted the raid, and it is said that he actually managed to reach until the lake of Chilka. Okay, he managed to conquer up to the area of Chilka, and he had to return with, he returned with a very large bounty and lots of elephants. Basically, he succeeded in plundering the area of Jashnagar up to the lake of Chilka. So Bengal had some success in their Orissa campaign. In 1360, Firoz Tughlaq also raided Orissa. About this event, we have already learned during the Delhi Sultanate. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was very much, trying to hold on to certain important areas of his kingdom, and he tried to gain back the control of Bengal, but he failed. Okay, so in the same campaign, he went to Orissa also. There, he managed to achieve some success. He occupied the capital city. He massacred a large number of people, and he desecrated the Jagannatha temple of Puri as well. Okay, so these two raids, one from the great Sultanate emperor and other from Ilyas Shah, the king of Bengal. These two raids basically ruined the prestige of Ganga dynasty. Okay, this was very humiliating for this particular dynasty. So eventually this dynasty declined, and it was replaced by the Gajapati rulers or the Gajapati dynasty. They were also very great builders and very great warriors. Alright, so they also, Gajapati rulers also tried to expand their kingdom in all different directions. And because Bengal was a tough opponent towards the north, and because Delhi Sultanate was a tough opponent towards their northwest, they decided to expand towards south. And they tried to conduct campaigns in the direction of Karnataka, okay, towards South India, towards Central India. Only problem was, during the same time, South India was ruled by Vijayanagara kingdom and Bahmani kingdom. And these two were again mighty powers to contend with. So basically, Orissa's ambition to expand during this time failed miserably. Okay, because there were plenty of powers which had a particular sort of stability in their own respected regions. Okay, Vijayanagara Empire, Bahmani kingdom, now the kingdom of Orissa, Bengal, Sultanate. Okay, so basically all these regions are stable by themselves. There are no weak rulers or anything anymore. Ahoms were also powerful. Clear. So this was the condition, northeastern India, or say the eastern part of India. Now we come to the west. In west we have Gujarat, Malwa and Mewar. These are the important regions. Most importantly, Malwa. So let's see what happened here. So as far as Gujarat is concerned, you people already know that Gujarat is very famous for, the port trade between Middle East and all. It is a port town. Okay, so it was very famous for its textile industry, very famous for handicrafts, etc. So obviously everyone wanted to control Gujarat. Even the Delhi Sultans had their eye on Gujarat for a very long time. Okay, we will see that eventually Mughals also will try to assert their power over Gujarat. Humayun tried it plenty of times. It is Akbar who eventually captures it. Okay, so that is, we will study about that eventually. But anyway, Gujarat was very important as far as all these rulers were concerned. So after Timur's invasion of Delhi, Gujarat and Malwa had become independent. Okay, the Sultanate power waned and they could not keep Gujarat and Malwa to themselves, so they assumed independence. In 1407, Zafar Khan proclaimed himself as the ruler of Gujarat. Okay, and he himself gave the title Muzaffar Shah. This is the name that we are familiar with, Muzaffar Shah. Muzaffar Shah is basically Zafar Khan, and he is the first, say, prominent ruler who came up in Gujarat. But though he is actually the founder, the real founder of this particular kingdom is considered to be Ahmad Shah I, the very famous ruler Ahmad Shah I, who is the grandson of Muzaffar Shah. Okay, everyone has heard of Ahmad Shah I because he is the person who built the city of Ahmedabad. Clear. So Ahmad Shah I brought under control a huge set of nobility. He managed to settle the administration. He expanded and consolidated the kingdom. He shifted the capital from Patan to the new city of Ahmedabad, which was founded in 1413. Clear? So Ahmad Shah I was very important as far as his contributions to Gujarat is concerned, and for all these purposes, he is considered as the real founder of the kingdom of Gujarat. He also drew rich architectural traditions from the Jains of Gujarat. Jainism was prevalent in that region, so he used a lot of techniques that was associated with Jainism in his own architecture, which we can see in plenty of old buildings in Gujarat. For example, the Jama Masjid of Ahmedabad. Similarly, the Tin Darwaza. Okay, we can see a lot of Jain features in both these buildings, although both are Islamic buildings. Jama Masjid is a mosque, but even in that we can see Jainist architectural features that we will study later in detail. But understand that this particular ruler, Ahmad Shah I, used all these techniques in his architectural style, which was very unique to this particular region. So naturally, being the ruler of Gujarat, he wanted to extend control over certain adjacent kingdoms. So who are the important kingdoms adjacent to Gujarat? The rulers of Rajasthan, that region. Okay, so the Rajputs. So he tried to annex certain Rajput areas, and he even managed to capture the fort of Girnar. Girnar was a very powerful fort. He captured this very strong fort, but he restored it to the same Raja, in exchange for an annual tribute. I think I have already mentioned this in the previous classes. During these times, plenty of rulers, after capturing a kingdom, gave that kingdom back to the king, as long as that king accepted the suzerainty and promised to pay an annual tribute. This was one of the positives, or one of the best ways in which medieval Indian rulers managed to create a huge empire. So the same tactics was followed here also, and Ahmad Shah gave back Girnar fort to the Rajput king. Then he attacked Sidhpur. Sidhpur is very important place for Hindu pilgrimage. Okay, he basically looted the city. He destroyed a lot of Hindu temples, etc., etc. And again, he annexed that particular portion. He was actually, at least some historians consider him as a religious bigot. Okay, because he was very much Orthodox Islam. He reimposed jizya, or let's say he imposed jizya, because until his time, jizya was not there in Gujarat, and he imposed jizya on Hindus in Gujarat. Okay, but having said that, we have to note he never actually closed doors for Hindus to come up in his administration. Okay, he did not hesitate to induct Hindus in his government. Manik Chand and Moti Chand belonged to the Baniya or the trader community, were his ministers. Both of them had very high positions in his kingdom. Both of them were Hindus. So he was not against a particular religion or anything, but he followed Sharia at its core. Okay, I mean, jizya, etc., very well said in regarding all that practices. Sharia has certain laws which are to be followed, and being an Orthodox Muslim, he made sure that everything is followed as per Sharia. Clear? But he was a very we can say very impartial personality, and he was very strict also, because he executed his own son-in-law for a murder he has committed. He executed his own son-in-law. Okay, so as far as a very impartial and very benevolent king is concerned, he as a ruler was very good. Clear? But his religious policy is very much questionable. So although he fought plenty of Hindu rulers, he also fought an equal number of Muslim rulers as well. This is another important thing. He fought plenty of Rajput rulers who happened to be Hindus. Doesn't mean that he is picking up Hindu rulers to attack. No. Contemporary, the Malwa at that time was ruled by Islamic rulers, and he wanted to control Malwa, so he attacked these Islam rulers plenty of times. So all this was based on politics and nothing in a communal sense. Anyway, this bitter rivalry between Gujarat and Malwa made it impossible for them to play a larger role in the politics of North India. So at the beginning of this session, I said that Malwa is one of the most important regions in North India, because whoever controlled Malwa will dictate polity in North India. So Malwa was very crucial for every North Indian king. So Gujarat king of Gujarat, Ahmad Shah, trying to conquer Malwa, had to contend a lot of battles with the king of with the ruler of Malwa, and eventually both of them exhausted themselves. So this kind of bitterly rivalry with each other prevented these two from gaining any sort of dominance in the North Indian politics. They exhausted each other by constantly fighting with each other. Clear? So as far as Gujarat is concerned, the successors of Ahmad Shah continued the policy of expansion and consolidation. I mean, still, they were not ready to give up. They wanted to expand and all. And the most important king of Gujarat after Ahmad Shah was Mahmud Bekhara. Yesterday we studied about Muhammad Gawan. Okay, Mahmud Gawan, who was very important for the Bahmani kingdom. Today another name, Mahmud Bekhara, who is very important for Gujarat kingdom. He ruled for over 50 years in Gujarat. Okay, I mean he is called Bekhara because he captured two important forts. Okay, Gars. I mean the corresponding language for fort is Gad. The Girnar in Saurashtra, which is the modern day Junagadh fort, and the Champaner in South Gujarat. Because he managed to capture these two important forts, he is named, he got the title Behara. So Mahmud Behara was one of the most important rulers of Gujarat after Ahmad Shah won. Okay, so as far as this Girnar fort is concerned, it was considered suitable not only for administering Saurashtra, but also as a base for operations against Sindh. Okay, so basically it means that if you get to control that fort, you can start dictating things towards northwestern region. So the Sindh region, Punjab region, so and so. So this was very much important strategically. And he even managed to capture this fort. And after the fall of this fort, the Raja who had control over that fort until now, he embraced Islam and was enrolled into the service of the Sultan. Okay, so the Sultan at the foothills of this particular fort founded a new town named as Mustafabad. After conquering Girnar or after annexing Girnar fort into his territory, Mahmud Bekhara founded a new town named as Mustafabad in the foothills of this fort. And there he built a lot of beautiful buildings, etc., etc. And he asked his nobles also to create magnificent buildings in the city. And eventually, Mustafabad became the second capital of Gujarat. Okay, Ahmedabad being the first capital, this one starts to serve the purpose of a second capital. Clear? So afterwards, Muhammad sacked Dwaraka. Okay, and the pretext was that it was harboring certain pirates who preyed on the pilgrim traffic towards Mecca. Upon this pretext, Mahmud sacked the city of Dwaraka and annexed it to the Gujarat kingdom. The second important fort which we talked about was the fort of Champaner. Okay, this was very much strategically located. Why? Because whoever controls the Champaner fort will have a very prominent say in bringing Khandesh and Malwa under their control. And Malwa, as already mentioned, is one of the prominent kingdoms to dictate North India. Okay, so again here also Mahmud Bekhara was successful, and the ruler of Champaner fort, along with all other men in the fort, fought bravely till their death, and the women conducted Johar. Okay, but anyway, he conquered both these forts, and therefore he got the title Mahmud Bekhara. Clear? And as far as Champaner is concerned, he built a town there also under the name Mohammedabad. So both Mohammedabad and Mustafabad are towns founded by Mahmud Bekhara after conquering the forts of Champaner and Girnar respectively. So here he laid out plenty of fine gardens and etc., etc., and it became his principal place of residence. And he also built a Jama Masjid here, and it had a very beautiful courtyard and all. It was also based on the Jain principles of architecture, again very much particular to the Gujarat Rajasthan region. Okay, but eventually once the Europeans came into the picture, Mahmud Bekhara had to face the might of Portuguese. Portuguese started to interfere with the Gujarat trade. We already spoke about this yesterday at length. Okay, so you know what happened. So Mahmud Bekhara joined hands with the ruler of Egypt to check the Portuguese naval power, but eventually Portuguese was too powerful for the combined armies, and they lost. Okay, Portuguese emerged as victorious. But anyway, during his very long reign of about 50 years, Mahmud Bekhara managed to rise the economy of Gujarat to a peak. Okay, trade and commerce was very much prosperous. He constructed many caravans and sarais and inns and all for let's say resting purposes of the travelers. He made the roads and communication networks very safe from dacoits and robbers, etc., etc. So a period of economic prosperity in Gujarat. Clear? Bekhara was an uneducated personality. He never received a systematic education, but he gained considerable knowledge of all these things through his association with learned men. Okay, we already talked about this. When the mighty empire in the North India, the Sultanate started to break up, the learned personalities from there started to look for other kingdoms for their refuge. Plenty of them went to the Bahmani kingdom in the south. Some of them went to Bengal, and some of them came to Gujarat also. So all these kingdoms actually welcomed all these prominent and learned personalities. Bekhara also did the same. Okay, so he had a court poet named as Udaya Raja, who was very well versed in Sanskrit. So basically, he, although uneducated, he supported and promoted all these kinds of activities. And as far as his personal appearance is concerned, he had a very peculiar appearance. Okay, he had a very flowing beard which extended till the waist length. He had a very peculiar mustache also. It was very long that he used to tie it over his head. You can search Google for his picture. Okay, so the one of the travelers at that time, Barbosa actually writes that Mahmud Bekhara was fed poison in very small quantities since his birth. That if a fly comes and sit in his body, the fly will immediately die. Okay, this was a kind of concept that was very prevalent at that time. I mean, by feeding small amounts of poison to that person eventually becomes poisonous. Okay, but anyway, Barbosa has written such a story about Mahmud Bekhara, and about his appetite as well. Okay, the king is very hungry always. He used to eat like 15 kgs of food every day, and so. I mean, mostly exaggerations, but anyway, this is something very peculiar that we come to know about this particular king. So anyway, under the rule of Mahmud Bekhara, the kingdom of Gujarat reached its zenith, at its limit. Okay, later on we will see that when the Mughals come to power, Humayun comes to challenge this mighty power of Gujarat, and eventually Akbar manages to capture it. So that is the story of Gujarat. Now, as far as Malwa is concerned, this is again another very important place in West India, Malwa. So this is situated in a very high plateau between two rivers, Narmada and Tapi. Okay, Malwa is situated between the rivers Narmada and Tapi. I am not talking about the Malwa plateau or anything here. I am talking about the state of Malwa. Okay, not the geographic region. Don't get confused. So anyway, Malwa commanded the trunk routes between Gujarat and North India, and also between North India and South India. Okay, this is the curious thing. The location of Malwa was such that it was in the middle of Gujarat and North India. Similarly, it was in the middle of North India and South India. So whoever controls Malwa will have command over a very important area, which will dictate the polity, the economy, etc. of North India. Okay, so basically this was a very contested region. If any of the powerful state of this region could extend its control over Malwa, it would be well on its way to make a bid for the domination of the throne in North India. In the 15th century, Kingdom of Malwa was at its height. Okay, I mean it reached its zenith. The capital of Malwa was shifted from Dhar to Mandu, to a place which, I mean, Mandu was a very say defensible area, more of a strategic area. So the capital was shifted from Dhar to Mandu in the 15th century. Unlike the Gujarat architectural style, the architecture of Mandu was very massive, very important. Okay, the architectural style of Malwa was extremely massive compared to the Gujarat style, and we have very lofty plinths for all the buildings to make it look even more massive. There is large scale use of colored and glazed tiles in all these buildings, and the best known for the Malwa architectural style is Jama Masjid, Hindola Mahal, and Jahaz Mahal. You just try to remember these names: Jama Masjid, Hindola Mahal, and Jahaz Mahal. All these are examples for the Malwa style of architecture. It is different from the Gujarat style in the sense that the Malwa style is much more bulkier, much more massive, and used lofty plinths to make it look even more massier. Okay, so obviously, just like any other kingdom at that time, Malwa was also torn by internal decisions. Plenty of infighting between its own nobles. Okay, so this was internal say disturbances were going on. After the death of a particular king, obviously succession battles happened before the next one took the crown. So all these things happened here also. Plenty of fighting between nobles for gaining higher power or exerting independence, etc., etc. And Gujarat and Mewar was always, poking Malwa to take control over it. Gujarat being the kingdom towards the west of Malwa, very much powerful. I already talked about it. And Mewar is another important kingdom in Rajasthan, probably the most powerful kingdom in Rajasthan. Both of them wanted to take control over Malwa. So Malwa had to deal with a lot of problems, internal and as well as external. The ruler of Malwa at this time was Hushang Shah. Okay, and a very prominent personality. He adopted a policy of religious tolerance. He actually encouraged Rajputs to settle in Malwa. Okay, we come to know about two Rajput brothers. One of him was Rana Mughal of Mewar. He was actually granted Jagirs in Malwa. So basically the ruler Husain Shah tried to adopt a policy of peace and friendship with all these personalities, Rajputs especially. Okay, so we also come across the inscription in the Lalitpur temple, which was built during this period, and it appears that there was no restriction placed on the construction of temples. Okay, earlier I told you that according to Sharia or according to the Islam law, you cannot construct new temples, but you can renovate the older ones. You can do the maintenance activities in the older ones. You cannot construct new temples. Okay, but here such policies, such strong, rigid, orthodox policies were not followed, and the rulers were allowed. The Rajputs were allowed to construct buildings in Malwa, despite it being an Islamic state. Okay, so we know about this from the inscriptions of Lalitpur temple. Again, important. Anyway, Husain Shah extended his patronage to the Jains, who were the principal merchants and bankers of this area. Thus, Nardeva Soni, a very successful merchant, was the treasurer of Husain Shah. So from all these things, we know that he was very much tolerant towards all religions, Hindus, Jains, etc., etc. Later on, the next, eventually one of his successors was actually Mahmud Khalji, okay, who ruled for a very long time, for about 33 years, and he is considered as the most powerful of all Malwa rulers. But contrary to Husain Shah, Mahmud Khalji was very much orthodox in his mannerisms, very orthodox. He destroyed many temples during his struggle against Rana Kumbha of Mewar, and he entered into battle with many of the neighboring Hindu rajas. So a very hardcore Islam person who follows Sharia to its word. So the policy of religious tolerance was abandoned by Mahmud Khalji during his time. Okay, and that ends our portion in Malwa. Next comes Mewar, the last of the prominent Western kingdoms. I will look into your questions after this one. Okay, Mewar. Mewar is one of the most powerful kingdoms in Rajasthan among the Rajputs. So after being ousted from Ajmer, Chauhans shifted to Ranthambore. Okay, I hope you remember what happened to Chauhans and all. They were in power in the Ajmer region. They lost Ajmer to Delhi Sultanate, and then they shifted to Ranthambore, which is one of the strongest forts in that region, and there they set up a very powerful state. But during the time of Alauddin Khalji, Ranthambore was also conquered by the Delhi Sultanate, and the power of Chauhans in Rajputana came to an end. Okay, from the ruins of these Chauhans, new states arose. So whenever a mighty kingdom falls, plenty of small states come up. Okay, so this happened here also. The state of Marwar, with its capital at Jodhpur, was one of these more important states. Not Mewar, Marwar. Okay, and another state of consequence in this area, as far as Muslims are concerned, is Nagaur. So Marwar, Nagaur, etc. came up from the ashes of Chauhans. Clear? And as far as Mewar is concerned, Mewar is another one. So as far as Mewar is concerned, uh, it is supposed to be Bapa Rawal who actually founded this city of Mewar. Okay, and he is from the Guilot clan. Guilot clan is actually a clan from Gujarat region, and a person named as Bapa Rawal of this particular clan is said to have been the virtual founder of Mewar. Okay, and this clan, Guilots, ruled over Chittor to the time of Ratan Singh, who was ousted by Alauddin Khalji. Okay, I mean, this is the story at that time. We do not come across much detail regarding all these events, but as far as we know, a person named as Bapa Rawal from Guilot clan actually laid the foundations of the city of Mewar, and this clan, this people were actually ruling Chittor until Alauddin Khalji sacked it. Okay, so eventually later on, Chittor then passed into the hands of Sisodias, who had been the feudatories of Guihils. Rao Lakha and Mokkal made Mewar the most powerful state in Rajasthan. So eventually, this is not happening, one after another, in a series of close succession, but rather this is happening over a very broad period of time. So initially, the members of this clan actually founded a city of Mewar, and what happened to Chittor after Alauddin Khalji's invasion. Chittor was sacked from Ratan Singh, and eventually the control of Chittor went into the hands of the Sisodias, who were initially the feudatories of Guihils, and Rao Lakha and Mokkal were two prominent personalities at this time who made the prestige of Mewar to its highest. The founder is Bapa Rawal, but the two important personalities who brought Mewar into dominance are Rao Lakha and Mokkal. Okay, so the ruler who raised it to the status of power later on was Rana Kumbha. This is the personality whom we have to study more closely. Others just remember the name and leave it. Okay, Rana Kumbha we have to study very closely because he and his successors, Rana Sanga, etc., are very important for why the Mughals came to India. So anyway, under Rana Kumbha, plenty of efforts were taken to expand Mewar. Efforts were made to conquer Bundi, Kota, Downgarpur, etc., on the Gujarat border. So basically, they followed an expansionist policy. The conflict with Gujarat and Malwa occupied Kumbha throughout his reign. These three kingdoms were fighting each other all the time: Gujarat, Malwa, and Mewar. All three almost roughly equal in power, so nobody had a clear advantage against anyone else. They continued their battles and exhausted themselves. Okay, so along with this, Rana also had to fight another battle with the Rathors of Marwar. Okay, Marwar was under the Mewar occupation, but it soon became independent after a successful struggle waged by Rao Chodha. Okay, initially Marwar was under the control of Mewar, but Marwar managed to cling on to independence when they organized themselves under Rao Jodha and conducted a very successful war. Rana Kumbha's achievement in facing two such powerful states against all odds cannot be considered as a very small achievement, because what happened in Bengal. Okay, Bengal was surrounded by Ahom kingdom and Kamrup, and Bengal had to deal with it a lot, and eventually they had to side up with Ahoms to beat Kamrup. But here Rana Kumbha was so powerful that he managed to preserve his state against two very strong adversaries. Rana Kumbha was a very learned personality, and he supported and patronized a lot of poets, sages, etc. He composed a number of books. He was a very good builder also. He built the Victory Tower or the Kirti Stambha in Chittor, important for prelims. He dug out a lot of canals, reservoirs, etc. for irrigation purposes. But eventually he was murdered by his own son, Uda. Okay, his own son named as Uda killed or murdered Rana Kumbha. And Uda came to the throne. Only problem was that his own brothers competed for the same position, and eventually Uda was ousted very quickly, and Rana Sanga came to power. Uda killed Kumbha, but eventually Uda was also ousted in a series of battles, and Rana Sanga, the grandson of Kumbha, achieved power. Okay, and this internal fighting between the Mewar kings and princes and nobles led to the uh, eventual collapse of this kingdom, Mewar kingdom. Same thing was going on in other kingdoms also, Gujarat, Malwa, etc. etc. So all these powers, despite being very powerful states by themselves, were not in a position to command power all over North India. You can see the picture here. The Lodi dynasty is more or less confined to this region. We have the Sharkis that we will be looking into in the upcoming slides. Kashmir also we will be looking into in the upcoming slides. We have Bengal region. Then we have Mewar here, Malwa, Gujarat. Okay, so towards the south we have Gajapati rulers ruling over the Orissa region. We have Khandesh in the Madhya Pradesh region, Bahmani Sultanate, Vijayanagara state. See, all of them are powerful states, but none of them are powerful enough to expand into an all India empire. This was the situation of India in the 15th century. And it is only later when Babur comes to India from Afghan, he manages to expand and establish a mighty empire in India. Okay, so the ruler of Malwa named as Mahmud II. Okay, Mahmud II took control over Malwa with the help of Medini Rai, a very prominent Rajput leader. Okay, Rajput leader who was in control of eastern Malwa was Medini Roy, and with his help, the ruler of remaining portion of Malwa, Mahmud II, had come to power. But eventually, Mahmud II lost his favor towards Medini Roy, and there occurred a battle. So what did Mahmud II do? He went to Gujarat for help. Okay, and Medini Roy went to Rana Sanga for help. Clear? So so assume that this is Malwa. We have Eastern Malwa and the rest of Malwa. So Eastern Malwa under Medini Roy and the remaining Malwa under Mahmud II. So once these two started fighting each other, this one went to the help and sought help under Gujarat. And Medini Roy sought help under Rana Sanga. So they started to fight each other using these alliances. Clear? So in the battle that happened in 1517, Rana defeated Mahmud II and carried him as a prisoner in Chittor. So this faction won the battle and defeated Mahmud II. Mahmud II was taken as a prisoner, and Eastern Malwa, including Chanderi, came to the overlordship of Rana Sanga. Rana Sanga was able to expand or consolidate his empire into a higher region. Okay, but anyway, these developments in Malwa alarmed the Lodi rulers of Delhi. Okay, so just check the map again. Now you have all this region, okay, a huge region under a single king. Okay, and suddenly the rulers of Delhi at that time, the Lodi Empire, began to be concerned about what was going in the Malwa region. Okay, they were not happy with whatever is happening. And Ibrahim Lodi, the ruler of Lodi, the last ruler of Lodi dynasty, Ibrahim Lodi, invaded Mewar. Only problem was he was not able to win the battle. He suffered a huge defeat and had to go back to his capital. Okay, and this is the time when Babur too was looking into India, and he was waiting for an opportunity which was presented to him by Rana Sanga. Yeah, Babur was already in Afghanistan and was looking into India because of the Central Asian politics which was not working in his favor. Okay, so Babur was waiting for that opportunity which was handed over to him by Rana Sanga. Why? Because of all these happenings in India. Because of the North Indian politics between all these various powers. Now we go to Northwest and North India, the Sharkis, Lodhis and Kashmir. So we finished this portion. Okay, up to here, this area we already completed. And we also finished this portion. Okay, yesterday in the class we finished the southern portions also. So now the remaining portion is Kashmir, Lodhis and Sharqi, the northern and northwestern empires. That is the final portion for the day that we are going to see. When these regional powers were expanding, no centralized power stopped it. Is it because they were inefficient or they ignored western region? There was no centralized power. That's the point. Okay, I mean, which according to you is the centralized power at this region? Is it Sultanate, Delhi Sultanate? Then you already in the previous class we have established that after Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the Delhi Sultanate started to disintegrate. And as far as Firoz Shah Tughlaq was concerned, he did not try to hold on to those territories which was too far away for him to administrate. That is why Bahmani kingdom and Vijayanagara kingdom came to the being. Okay, came to being. Why? Because Firoz Shah Tughlaq did not care about it. I mean, he did not even try to assert dominance over faraway territories. But as far as Bengal was concerned, he wanted to, have Bengal in his territory, but he failed in the repeated campaigns that he conducted into Bengal. So he went against Orissa and plundered it. The Jajnagar plunder that just we studied about. So after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, I mean, when Muhammad Shah came to power, Delhi was attacked by, there was Timur invasion, and the entire thing collapsed. Okay, after the Timur invasion, Delhi was completely plundered, and Sayyid dynasty came to. I mean, although Sayyid dynasty came to power, there were no strong, successful rulers at all, and they came to power for a very small amount of time. Then they were replaced by Lodhis, and among the Lodhis also there were no prominent rulers except for Sikandar Lodhi, who we will be studying very soon. Sikandar Lodhi is one person who at least managed to carve a strong kingdom. Then the power went to Ibrahim Lodhi. He was he was a sincere personality, but he was not good at. I mean, he took decisions on haste and all, and eventually managed to lose against Babur. So there was no central power at that time. The Delhi Sultanate, which once ruled over majority of India and once established the biggest territory in India since the time of Mauryas, was shrunk into a small kingdom around Delhi. Their kingdom was so small around Delhi. That is all they had. Okay, so there is no centralized power. The name Sultanate remained. That's all. This was more or less nominal, nothing more. Okay, so Northwest and North India, the Sharkis, Lodi Sultans and Kashmir. So the invasion of Timur happened and the prestige of Delhi was completely shattered. Everyone was trying to assert their own independence, the zamindars, the nobles, etc. etc. And one of the nobles, Malik Sarwar was actually appointed towards the eastern region by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Okay, Firoz Shah Tughlaq was, Malik Sarwar was the noble under Firoz Shah Tughlaq. After during his time, Malik Sarwar was assigned into the east to look after the affairs of the east. But after Firoz Shah Tughlaq died, and after he was replaced after Timur invasion, etc., etc., Malik Sarwar tried to establish his own independence. Okay, and he succeeded in doing that. So because he was assigned the powers of the east, he was given a title Malik us Sharq. This title was given to him by the Sultanate ruler. Okay, and because of this title, the dynasty which Malik Sarwar set up came to be known as Sharkis. Okay, Malik us Sharq means Lord of the East. So his descendants were known as Sharkis. That is how the Sharki dynasty comes into the picture. And they ruled for about, say, less than 100 years. Okay, I mean, all of them together rules for less than a century. And the Sharki sultans fixed their capital at Jaunpur. Okay, Jaunpur in modern day Uttar Pradesh, very important city. And Sharki sultans fixed their capital at Jaunpur. They created magnificent architectural styles of their own, lofty gates, huge arches, etc., etc. And these sultans were great patrons of. One second, guys. Okay, sorry for that. There has been some technical issues going on today. Okay, sorry for that. So anyway, I'm continuing. Said dynasty was ruling over Delhi, and during their time, certain Afghan nobles or Afghan sardars came and settled down in Punjab. Among them, the most important one was Bahlul Lodhi, who was granted the Iqta of Sirhind. And Bahlul Lodhi checked the growing power of the Khokhars. Khokhars were a very warlike tribe that was living in the salt ranges, and Bahlul Lodhi was powerful enough to stop them. Okay, and the rulers of Delhi, the Said dynasty rulers, they called Bahlul Lodhi for help against Malwa. I already told you Malwa was becoming very dangerous for the Delhi Sultans. So against Malwa, Delhi Sultans sought the help of Bahlul Lodhi. What happened? Of course, Bahlul Lodhi came to help them, but he decided to stay even after the war. Okay, I mean, the Said dynasty, the rulers of Said dynasty expected him to go back once this was done and dusted. But instead, Bahlul Lodhi knew that he was actually more powerful than the Said rulers. So he decided to stay back in Delhi, and he crowned himself as the king in 1451. Okay, he crowned himself as the king in 1451 when the ruler of Delhi died in exile. So basically, this is how Said dynasty came to an end. Okay, I mean, this was a very weak dynasty, no prominent kings for us to consider. Bahlul Lodhi established the Lodhi dynasty. Okay, so up till now, from the slave dynasty, that is the Qutbuddin Aibaks, till Saids, everyone who ruled Delhi was a Turk. It was Turkish Muslims who ruled Delhi, but Lodhis were Afghans. Very important, don't forget. In the Delhi Sultanate, there is only one Afghan faction who ruled Delhi, one Afghan dynasty who ruled Delhi. It is Lodhis. Until now, it was ruled all by Turks. Okay, so in South India also there was an important Afghan kingdom, that is Bahmani. Clear? So the Afghan Muslims started to have a very important position henceforth in the politics of India. Later on, Mughals also are Afghan. So basically, up till now, the Turkish Islam had very important functions in India. But from now onwards, we see that Afghan Muslims starts to play a more important role. Okay, so Bahlul Lodhi's energies were occupied mainly against his contest with Sharqi rulers, whom he defeated and annexed eventually. So he invited the Afghans of Roh to come to India so that they will get rid of the ignominy of poverty and I shall gain ascendancy. This was the idea. Okay, so he brought in more and more Afghans into his kingdom, okay, thereby giving a more prominent position for Afghan Muslims in India. Now they are in minority. Turkish Muslims are in majority. So he brought in more and more Afghans into India, and basically started to increase the count of Afghanis for his own stability. Okay, so eventually all these activities helped Bahlul Lodhi to defeat the Sharqis, and this also changed the complexion of Muslim society in India. Okay, now we have the Afghan majority compared to earlier Turkish majority. After Bahlul Lodhi, the most important ruler who came to throne in Delhi was Sikandar Lodhi. Sikandar Lodhi was actually a contemporary of Mahmud Bekhara of Gujarat and Rana Sanga of Mewar. Very important because UPSC always asks these kinds of questions. If this person was a contemporary of this another person, such statements will also come in UPSC prelims. Okay, usually statements like say Kabir was a contemporary of Shankaracharya or an Adi Shankara. These are the kinds of questions that comes in UPSC, but just in case, please remember the timelines of these kings also. Sikandar Lodhi was a contemporary of Mahmud Bekhara, who ruled over Gujarat, who was a contemporary of Rana Sanga, who ruled over Mewar. Okay, so basically, Sikandar Lodhi tried to subdue the Afghan Sardars who were trying to create, a mess within the Delhi Sultanate, and he succeeded in bringing them into subordination. Okay, Afghanis are basically tribal kind of people, so they believed in a tribal kind of independence. They did not, give that kind of power to the Sultan. Okay, they saw the Sultan as first among the equals. That's all. The Sultan is also an equal to them. It's just that he is the first among the equals. That's all. They never considered Sultan as superior to them or anything. But Sikandar Lodi, through his firm assertion, managed to put his position above everyone else, and he thereby subdued all the Afghan Sardars. Okay, so all those who had Jagirs had to submit their accounts regularly. Drastic punishments were given to those who embezzled money or were corrupt. Okay, etc. etc. So he started to put in very strong measures against these Sardars. But even after all this, we have to accept that his ambition was only partly successful. Okay, he managed to bring some sections under control, but still he was not completely successful in his pursuit for bringing these Afghan nobles into subordination. Anyway, Sikandar Lodi was able to establish an efficient administration in his kingdom. Okay, he laid great emphasis on justice, and all the highways of the empire was made safe for travelers and merchants, etc., etc. The prices of all essential commodities were brought down and made remarkably cheap. He focused into agricultural sector. He abolished octroi duty on grains. Okay, and established a new measurement system of yard called as Ghazi Sifindari. Okay, Ghazi Sifindari. This was a measurement of yard which was actually put forth by Sikandar Lodi. And this particular system prevailed even the time of Mughals also. All these are for prelims. Okay, just taking the points for prelims and try to remember them. Anyway, the rent rolls prepared in his time formed the basis for the rent rolls of Sher Shah. Okay, so he was very good in administration, revenue administration, agricultural sector. He focused on all these things. Okay, except all these are very good things, except his religious policy. He was not at all a practitioner of liberal religious policy. Instead, he was actually an orthodox and even a bigot. He forbade the Muslims from following certain practices which were against Sharia. For example, women were forbidden from visiting the graves of saints. Similarly, processions being taken out in the memory of saints, all these were denied. Okay, because it was not in tandem with Sharia. All these practices started eventually when they mixed with the Indians. It was a part of a composite culture. Okay, so Sikandar Lodi forbade all these things and he stuck word by word to Sharia. He reimposed jizya, another important point. He demolished a few of the Hindu temples when he fought against Rana Sangha. Okay, so in the religious field, he was nothing but a bigot. But as far as administration is concerned and as far as preventing corruption is concerned, he was a very able and efficient ruler. Sikandar Lodi gave magnificent grants to scholars, philosophers, etc., etc. He welcomed all these people from different countries and all. Okay, he even translated a lot of Sanskrit works into Persian. He was interested in music. Large number of Hindu people took up Persian as for studying during his time, and these people were even given chances in administrative posts. Okay, so process of this cultural reapproachment between Hindus and Muslims continued very nicely even during his time. Despite this aggressive religious policy, still the evolution of the composite culture in medieval India between Islam and Hinduism continued apace during their time also. This will break only during the time of British. Okay, during the time of Mughals also, this composite culture continues to grow, and this will eventually break only under British. That too after revolt of 1857. Even during the time of 1857 revolt, Islam and Hindu culture are coexisting in India, and a composite culture has also is also being developed. But eventually, once the Britishers starts to take sides and starts to follow the policy of divide and rule, okay, this pace gets some kind of a break, and eventually instead of that composite culture, it gets replaced by communal elements. Okay, so Sikandar Lodi selected this site for the city of Agra. Another important point for prelims. The site for the city of Agra was actually selected by Sikandar Lodi. This town was actually prepared for commanding an area area of eastern Rajasthan and route to Malwa and Gujarat. This is the reason why the city of Agra was built, in order to have a firm command over the eastern Rajasthan and to serve as a trade route between Malwa and Gujarat, or towards Malwa and Gujarat, not between, towards. This was the idea. So Sikandar Lodi basically selected this site for Agra. So we won't talk about Ibrahim Lodi today. That we will talk in the next class when we take up Mughals. But the final and the most one of the most important kingdoms in the north, and the final topic for the day, Kashmir. Satya, actually there was no political vacuum. Okay, I mean you can because Delhi Sultanate still continued for another 100 years, despite their power being reduced to a small area. Okay, I mean this empire, once this central monarch became weak, all these areas started to take on their own independence, that we already established. Okay, Gujarat, Bengal, etc., they started to gain their own independence and assert their own independence and autonomy. In Delhi, the throne was never vacant. Okay, after the Khaljis, it was taken by Sayids. After the Sayids, it was taken by Lodhis. So that continuity was there. Only problem was their power, which was once so mighty that it controlled the entirety of India, or almost the entirety of India, got shrank into the four walls of Delhi. That's all. So we can't say an exactly vacuum. It's just that it became very minute, miniature. Same thing happened for Mughals also. After Aurangzeb, the Mughal dynasty, which once had almost the entire India under their control, shrank into the four walls of Delhi. By the time of revolt of 1857, Bahadur Shah Sapar had, he was a nominal ruler controlling a small area of Delhi. That's all. Everywhere else, the power was taken by someone else. Same thing happened here also. That's it. So Kashmir. So when we talk about Kashmir history, some of the most important, one of the most important textbook that we have to look into is Raja Tarangini. Okay, written by Kalhana. Okay, we will look into that in this chapter. But anyway, according to Al-Biruni, I hope you know who Al-Biruni is. I have talked about this person earlier also. Anyway, according to him, according to the literature he left, entry into Kashmir was very much restricted. Okay, people cannot just walk into Kashmir. Kashmir was, even the Hindus who want to know or who know people within Kashmir had to get previous permission, etc., before they can enter Kashmir. Kashmir was more or less a very much forbidden area at that time in history. Okay, and at this time, Shaivite traditions were followed in Kashmir. Okay, Kashmir was known as a center of Shaivism, okay, because of the influence of Bhakti movement and all. But this situation changed in the middle of 14th century when a devastating attack happened on Kashmir under the Mongol leader Dalucha. Okay, Mongol invasion happened in Kashmir in 1320, and this invasion basically devastated Kashmir. Okay, all the men were slaughtered, murdered. Women and children were taken into as slaves and sold to merchants from other nations and all. So this basically devastated Kashmir, this incident. And from now on, we see continuous incursion of Muslim saints and refugees from Central Asia into Kashmir. Okay, and this time, when these Muslims also starts to come into Kashmir from Central Asia, we see the evolution of a new sect of Sufi saints named as Rishis. Okay, Rishis are basically those Muslims who have some features from both Islam and Hinduism. They are Sufi saints only, except that they have a lot from Hinduism also, not just Islam, not just typical Sufi. Okay, so that branch of Sufism is known as Rishis, and this sect emerged in Kashmir. And as time went on, due to the preaching of these saints, and also due to applying some sort of force also, lot of people in Kashmir were converted into Islam. Initially, most of them were Hindus, And now the Sufis has came from Central Asia and all. The sect of Rishis has emerged, and partly by force and partly through preaching, the population of Kashmir was converted into Islam. Clear? And the persecution of Brahmins began to be uh, the norm of the day. Okay, I mean, Sikandar Shah, who was ruling at this time in Kashmir, he started to follow a very narrow religious policy, and he persecuted the Brahmins. And either, I mean, they had two choice: either they had to convert to Islam or they had to leave the valley. This was the choice given to them: either become a Muslim or get out of Kashmir. Okay, temples were destroyed. The gold and silver idols within the temple were taken and melted and changed into coins and all. So basically, a very bigotry religious policy was followed under Sikandar Shah, who was ruling Kashmir at this time. Okay, and actually, it's a very interesting thing that it was one of his ministers who advised this policy to this king. Okay, Sikandar Shah was not doing this just out of his own wisdom. Actually, it was done due to the advice given to him by his minister Suhabhat. Suhabhat was a Hindu. Okay, he was a Hindu Brahmin, but when he converted to Islam, he decided to turn against the entire Hindu religion. And based on his advice, Sikandar Shah took all these bigotry religious policies. Okay, so this continued in Kashmir for a very long time until Zainul Abidin came to power. Zainul Abidin is a very well-known, very able ruler of Kashmir who ruled for 50 years. Probably the golden years of Kashmir. Zainul Abidin, very important ruler, very important for prelims also. Okay, so when he came to power, he started a policy of religious toleration, and he cancelled all these bigotry policies set forth by Sikandar Shah. He conciliated and brought back all the Kashmir, and all non-Muslims were brought back to Kashmir. Those who earlier was forced to convert to Islam was given a choice to convert back to Hinduism or whatever religion they came from. He restored plenty of libraries, Hindu temples, etc., etc. So he undid everything that was done by Sikandar Shah, and he followed a very liberal religious policy and basically brought forth the golden age of Kashmir. Okay, a broad policy of religious toleration. He abolished jizya. He abolished cow slaughter. Okay, cow is a very important animal for Hindus, right? I mean, even now in India, we have this debate, beef was prohibited. I mean, lots of debates are going on for and against it. Anyway, according to Hinduism, cow is a sacred animal. So cow slaughter is considered as something, bad. And respecting the views of Hindus, Zainul Abidin prohibited cow slaughter in Kashmir. He also, respecting the wishes of the Hindus, withdrew the ban on sati. He did this on good intentions, but it's actually a bad thing. Okay, sati was banned because it's against Sharia and all. But Zainul Abidin cancelled this ban on sati. Why? Because he was just doing this for the gaining the respect of Hindus, or out of respect towards Hindus. That's all. He was not doing this on any vengeance against women or anything. It was just that he was not trying to interfere with Hindu religious customs. So despite being done on good intentions, this was a very bad thing. Okay, so also he opened the administrative posts to various Hindus, and many Hindus occupied very high posts during his time. For example, Shriya Bhatt was a minister of justice, and he was also appointed as a court physician. The first two queens of Zainul Abidin were also Hindus. Okay, they were the daughters of the Raja of Kashmir, and Zainul Abidin married these two, and both of them eventually died, and his third wife was a Muslim. Okay, and Zainul Abidin himself was a very learned personality. He himself composed lots of poetry. He was well versed in Persian, Kashmiri, Sanskrit, Tibetan languages, etc., etc. He managed to convert many works, including Mahabharata, Kalhanas, Rajatarangini, etc., into Persian. Okay, Rajatarangini is very important because it gives one of the best histories of the kings of Kashmir. Okay, out of all the medieval Indian textbooks, Rajatarangini is one that does not have any kind of exaggerations. It is a typical history textbook which we can rely on. Okay, and it was written by Kalhana and it was translated into Persian along with Mahabharata under Zainul Abidin. He was very fond of music, and hearing of this, the Raja of Gwalior sent him two rare Sanskrit works on music. Sorry. Okay, so basically, he was a very well-known, very well-admired personality. He sent two persons to Samarkand to learn the art of paper making and book binding. He fostered many crafts in Kashmir such as stone cutting, polishing, bottle making. So overall, you can see, all his policies are towards the benefit of someone. Okay, so this is why he was considered as a very great king of Kashmir, the golden time of Kashmir. He encouraged the art of shawl making, musket making, and art of manufacturing fireworks was also developed in Kashmir. He developed the field of agriculture by making a large number of dams, canals, bridges, etc. etc. He was a very good builder also. His greatest engineering achievement was the Zaina Lanka, an artificial island in the Bular Lake, on which he built his palace and a mosque. Well, these are simple points just by heart. Okay, so again, he was a very enthusiastic builder. He built this Zaina Lanka artificial island in which he created his palace and a mosque. And for all these things, he was called Butshah. Okay, why he is called Butshah? Butshah means the great Sultan. Even now, Zainul Abidin is known as Butshah in Kashmir. So though not a great warrior, he defeated the Mongol invasion of Ladakh and conquered the Baltistan area called the Tibet-i-Buzak. So I mean, we do not come across much military conquests regarding Zainul Abidin, but even then, he did all these things. I mean, he even managed to defend against Mongols. He captured or invaded Baltistan area. So basically, he unified the entire Kashmir region. Okay, this is about Zainul Abidin. Very important personality. Do study about him. Very important. Now, we have looked into the prominent kingdoms of medieval India after the decline of Delhi Sultanate and before the beginning of Mughals. So to conclude today's session, we can say that the regional balance of power could give neither peace nor stability. This is very true. Although very powerful kingdoms emerged in India in various regionalities, still none of them managed to expand into such a dominant power which could bring everlasting peace to any of these regions. All of them quarreled each other for a very long time and exhausted themselves. That's it. They couldn't bring peace, they couldn't bring stability. Vijayanagara kingdom rose into its power under Krishnadevaraya. But in the battle of Rakshasatangadi, which happened under Ramaraja, the entire city was looted and plundered and Vijayanagara never came back to its power. The Aravidu dynasty was merely nominal. Okay, same thing happened for all these major regional areas. So these regional balance of power never worked out. The regional kingdoms had, however, many cultural contributions to their credit. That is true. Local styles of architecture, using local traditions, then patronization of local languages, music, literature, all these are their contributions that we cannot ignore. Okay, so these regional areas had the influence from Delhi Sultanate. Okay, that they had, but they had their own regional, particularities also. Clear? So some features of their architectures might be common because they are all based on Islam. I mean the Delhi Sultanate, but they also used or mixed it with their local style that is indigenous. Clear? So many composite cultures emerged in all these different regions. While some of these rulers did carry out a large-scale destruction of temples and tried to present themselves as Orthodox Muslims, overall, in these kingdoms, forces of mutual accommodation and cultural integration remained very much active. Sikandar Shah and Sikandar Lodhi, these people were very much religiously bigots. Okay, but in general, about all these kingdoms, what we can say is that they followed a broad policy of mutual accommodation. They accepted Hindus, Jains, etc. into administration. Nothing was ever done based on religion except in these few cases. So broadly speaking, in medieval India, after the collapse of the Sultanate and before the beginning of Mughals, the states followed a broader policy of mutual accommodation and integration, cultural integration. Okay, so here we will stop for the day, and tomorrow, and I mean the next class, day after tomorrow, we will take up another small chapter that is regarding the cultural aspects of this same time. Afterwards, we will see the coming of Babur and the establishment of Mughal dynasty. Okay, and at the end of it, I mean, this is one prominent dynasty that we have to go through very step by step. We have an entire chapter on Akbar himself. Okay, so anyway, by the end of Mughal dynasty, we come to the end of medieval India, and once this is done, I will go back to, I mean, go and forward and take to uh, ancient India, the R.S. Sharma textbook. All right, so any questions? Mongols invasion in Kashmir resulted in any kind of religious conversion? Yes, it did. That's what I told you. In this slide, I think it is written Mongol invasion. Look, in the 14th century, in the middle of 14th century, the Mongols invaded in Kashmir, and it was done by a Mongol leader, Galucha. Okay, and once this was done, people of Kashmir, I mean, more and more Islam people from Central Asia started to penetrate into Kashmir, and once they started to control the affairs of Kashmir, people of other religions, especially Hindus, were forcibly converted into Islam. So it did a lot, into the religious conversion. That is correct. Up till now, Kashmir was more or less Shaivite, which means predominantly a Hindu kingdom. Mongol invasion changed the religious balance there and made it a Islamic kingdom. Zainul Abidin reversed it back and allowed all the forcible converts to have a choice. They can either stay in Islam or they can go back to their own original religion. So how many lectures you have planned for? I do not have a number. Okay, I am just going by the textbook. I do not have an exact number or anything. Modern India was over in 10 lectures, and this will, I mean, some more lectures will be there. That's all. Okay, I won't extend it too much, but I have to finish this textbook, and I can't skip anything. Okay, I don't want to skip anything. That's all. So anyway, thank you all for joining. Please make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Please share with your friends also, so that I can get more visibility in YouTube. Okay, and I will be uploading the PDF of this class in my Telegram channel. The link is given here. I will also upload the Hindu quiz answer in a while. So that's it. That's all for today. Thank you all for joining. See you again day after tomorrow. Until then, bye bye.